is a pretty fun game derived from one simple rule. Knock your opponent off the stage enough so they can't get back. It pretty much is where almost every other mechanic in Smash Bros. Derives from. I mean, what? Directional influence, fall speed, weight, traits that make tons and tons of entirely different characters and play styles all have this common root. It's actually kind of incredible how we've gotten so many unique, interesting characters from such a kind of simple principles. Now, granted, they had to bend the rules set a little bit for certain characters like Joker and Terry Bogard, but, you know, I think we're fine with that as long as we get more cool characters. But then that kind of begs the question, well, okay, if Smash Ultimate has had this many characters that have felt very different from each other, what is the actual ceiling within the current framework of Smash before we start getting into really repetitive concepts, play styles, gimmicks, etc., etc.? Now, the thing is that this is obviously not at all scientific or mathematic. I'm sure there are other Smash Brothers channels on YouTube that could provide a better answer in those forms. But I wanted to take this more in kind of a thought experiment direction. Like, is it even possible to conceive, like, as many possible playstyles as there are, like, the limit of the amount of characters? And so, to me, like, I'm sorry if it's not, like, hard enough numbers for you, but this is just kind of like a fun idea I had for a video. Now, the first thing to look at when you're talking about a hypothetical ceiling that you're going to reach with Smash's character diversity without repeating itself is obviously overlapping gimmicks, and that makes sense. It's actually really interesting to see the modern Smash team sort of take ideas that have been implemented in previous Smash games, bring them into the current times, and then do them in such a way that is so different from the implementation before that it actually kind of like doesn't even seem like the same mechanic or came from like the same idea. The two characters I think of when it comes to this are Rosalina and Ice Climbers. Like, on paper, it's like, oh, there's like a two characters in one type of thing. Like, you'd think they'd be very, very similar to each other, but actually, Ice Climbers are kind of more distinct characters that act at the same time, assuming you don't get into desync stuff. And then Rosalina and Luma is more like the Luma is the extension of Rosalina's kit, rather than kind of its own distinct character with the same capabilities. I mean, even for more normal characters that don't have crazy gimmicks, you can look at Duck Hunt and Banjo-Kazooie, and there's a reason why that comparison is a meme. I remember prior to Banjo getting in that, you know, aside from all the licensing issues and stuff, that people really didn't think that there was any room for Banjo in the game because they thought that Duck Hunt really filled that role, that Masahiro Sakurai was kind of like, okay, you know, we can't get Banjo in, we're gonna use this kind of, you know, popular but relatively, you know, unused character as kind of our vector for channeling the Banjo-Kazooie-isms with the mammal-bird dynamic. And people were worried that Banjo wouldn't really stand out when you had Duck Hunt in the game, but they managed to do it, or at least they designed Duck Hunt in such a way that it wouldn't tread over what Banjo-Kazooie does. Hell, even something like Sheik and Greninja, again, have a lot of similar overlap in just being ninjas, but they play very differently, whereas Greninja has a lot more sort of trickery going on and, you know, a little bit more range with his water swords, whereas Sheik is much more about speed and a straight-up combo game. Like, it's actually really cool how they take that same ninja concept and apply it very differently. So we know that you can have two similar ideas, and you can sort of sprout it into two totally distinct play styles for characters. And so I'm going to be using, you know, 2 to maybe 3 sort of different implementations of the same idea as sort of how I reached the ultimate number of like the threshold of the maximum amount of distinct characters you can have in Smash. Now, if we're talking about wholly unique characters, not echoes, we could remix traits of characters all day, and you know, that'd be a whole other discussion. But in terms of unique traits, I looked at the roster, I looked what has been done, I looked what hasn't been done, and kind of the conclusion that I've come to, or rather the number, I think the maximum amount of characters that you can have with distinct, unique play styles in Smash is 100. Now, depending on your personal preference on how you count clone characters, I mean, you know, do you count just Echo Fighters, or do you start getting into things like Pichu and Ganondorf or Dr. Mario? But once Fighters Pass 2 is over, the amount of unique characters in Smash Ultimate could range from like the low 70s to like the high 70s, like maybe even like 80. Now, how did I get to this 100 number exactly? Well, obviously I wanted to leave some room for some new concepts that, you know, someone like myself or even the Smash fan base as a whole might have trouble sort of imagining. But I just kind of realized that a lot of the concepts and gimmicks that are in Smash Brothers have been iterated on multiple times already. There's not as many ones that haven't been iterated on as much. And so there's not as much room to, you know, do different interpretations of similar ideas than it is to just do new ideas. I mean, I don't think it's surprising that so many new characters that we get are always kind of bending the rules in their own interesting way. I don't think it's a coincidence that Masaru Sakurai and his team have been doing this since Smash 4, when I probably think that had the series kind of kept the characters more in a box, I think a lot of the characters would have felt samey by now. And so I think it was a good move for them to kind of start breaking the mold a little bit by the time that it was starting to get stale. I mean, look at a character like Cloud Strife. A lot of his identity is tied up in his limit bar gimmick, and his playstyle is tied up in his limit bar gimmick. I mean, there is a lot of stuff to him outside of that makes him unique, just the way he swings his sword and the way he moves, but if Cloud was added in Brawl, like, he would have felt kind of samey compared to a lot of the other sword characters on the cast at the time. So yeah, that was the video. This is kind of a fun thought experiment, you know. I'm sure compared to other Smash tubers, I probably maybe didn't go as in-depth or maybe threw as much After Effects crap on the screen as I possibly could have, but, you know, I just wanted to kind of start this discussion and you know, I was really thinking about this, and I wanted to share this sort of thought with everyone else. So anyways, guys, that's it, and have a good day.